Welcome back to another episode of Beyond Rockets. In this episode, I sit down and talk with a few of the brewery owners behind one of the newest restaurants and brewery concepts to come to Huntsville and Guntersville, the Brewers Co-Op. First off, thank you for taking the time to sit down and talking with me. Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what your role here is at the Brewers Co-op?
Absolutely. I'm Dan Perry. I am the president of Straight to Ale and Salty Nut.
I'm Bo Hicks. I run Druid City Brewing down in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
My name is Thomas Freudiger. I'm a manager here at the Brewers Cooperative in Stovehouse.
So obviously we are here to talk about the co-op in general, but I do want to talk a little bit about your background, Dan and Bo, because I think it plays a pivotal part in kind of what the Brewers Co-op is, and we wouldn't be here talking about the Brewers Co-op if it wasn't for Straight to Ale and Druid City. So you can tell me a little bit about what your background is and kind of when you first started Straight to Ale and Druid City.
Yeah, well, Straight to Ale started about 15 years ago. I think we're officially on our 14th year. We've moved a couple locations. We've expanded. We've got right down the street, we've got the Campus 805 location. It's a full restaurant, brewery, winery, distillery.
Okay.
Well, Druid City opened in Tuscaloosa Black Friday of 2012, so we're coming up on our 10-year, and we're a quirky little indie rock brewery that likes to be a little left of center and both just being kind of spunky and fun. And, you know, one of the things I think that made this well is at a beer fest or at the brewery get-togethers with the lobbying. Like, me and Dan always struck it off, and I always found a way to make him laugh. I always respect the beers they make, of course. Monkey Knot was one of my favorites, and so we became friends, and then I think it just became sort of a synergy thing. Like, why don't we work together? We have a strong brand. You know, I'm working my butt off down there in a smaller place, and so we found a way, even before the co-op emerged, to start working together to help raise, cool factor in both Huntsville, Guntersville now, and also Tuscaloosa. So it was something that it came to us naturally. Like, we get along, we merge, we want to support our communities, and we want to be a part of that.
Yeah, because I remember reading the article. I think it's like in 2019, December of 2019, y'all actually officially merged the two. Where does the timing kind of fall in place? Because I know that the concept for Brewers Co-op is something that you've had around for a little while, and the process, and we're kind of getting more into it. I mean, I know a little bit of the story, and you had the idea way before COVID, a little bit before COVID, and then with COVID happening, it kind of pushed everything back. Was the idea when the merger happened that you would do something like the Brewers Co-op, or is that kind of a secondhand thought?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it secondhand, but they were independent of each other.
Okay.
We were looking to expand throughout the state, throughout the South, like most breweries are, and we're talking to our friends in Alabama that also had breweries. They're looking to do the same thing. So I had the idea, rather than put 12 individual breweries in every town, it's like, let's make something that's even bigger, even cooler, and add breweries to that concept.
Yeah.
I think one of the wise things there is also to pull resources as opposed to snaking each other's business. Let's take these brands, Good People in Avondale are involved as well, that have strong equity in the market, that are really respected, that do cool things, and let's bring all those together, and then, eventually bring other breweries, on a guest co-op member basis, which I think is going to increase variety. And, it just shows that it's not a dog-eat-dog world. Like, we can work together.
Yeah, for
like,
sure.
I've learned that doing good in the world and making the world a cooler place and it being good business are not mutually exclusive.
Yeah.
You can do both of those. And it was thanks to Dan's vision, because I'm in my little fiefdom in Tuscaloosa, like, giving it the old community college try. And then, with that idea and being able to really partner with Straight to Ale, it really made a huge difference for us. And it's allowed us to flourish even more. And, I never dreamed of being able to be involved in, such a cool thing as like the co-ops, because it just shows working together, and it shows you don't always have to be backstabbing buttholes to each other. Like, you can work together.
Yeah, and what I'm curious about too is the merger between Druid City and Straight to Ale happened in 2019. Did you see any sort of increase in just traffic to Druid City, as far as people in Huntsville kind of like, oh, I've seen this in Tuscaloosa, or I've visited for a game, and now I know that and now I can have it in Huntsville now. Like, did the popularity of Druid City just increase?
I think it did, and I think it went both ways, because we had people that were up here that might not have a connection to the university or come to Tuscaloosa for too often. Now they're getting to try our product. And so as, hypothetical, their kid decides to go to Alabama, and they're like, oh man, I've had that stuff. And so we experienced a bump up in business. I mean, frankly, just to have some help behind us to, make the beers, at our brew house is so small, it was hard for us to keep up and satiate the market. And so we definitely saw a bump, and I think it is a two-way street, wouldn't you say, Dan?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the coolest things we were able to do was add packaged products to the Druid City line, because we're able to brew the production beers up here at Straight to Ale with a larger brew house.
Yes.
And we got that spread throughout the state and into Mississippi now.
Mm-hmm.
So it really increased his timeline, right? It
Mm-hmm.
cut down the timeline to get the beers out.
Yeah. So, and I know also like Straight to Ale also kind of merged with Salty Nut. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that plays a huge part in this too. Because I mean, Salty Nuts is one of the 5 breweries that's kind of within the Brewers Co-op. When did that merger happen with Salty Nut, and was that around the same time as the Druid City?
I believe it was a good deal after we started talking to Bo about that, and that's been a process. We're still working through that process. But we've got the tap room right down the road, and once again we were able to put their beers into distribution throughout the state.
Mm-hmm.
But it's that one's still a work in progress. We're still trying to finalize everything and keep that identity.
Yes.
That's with Bo. We didn't want to come in and take over and make it Straight to Ale, because Straight to Ale is Straight to Ale. We want to keep the individuality of each brewery in our group.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's something I could say is very fair. Like, he's given me wide latitude. Like, I don't want it like Straight to Ale. I want the vision that you created.
Yeah.
To be able to flourish, and through having some backup there. But also, I think there's so much potential with Salty Nut. Like, I would give my pinky toe for that really awesome courtyard that they have in the back. And, it has this really great dive bar feel that sort of resonates with me personally. And so, building that back up, starting to feature music over there. We're working on, outside of this cooperative, doing things we're really known for, original music and original bands, and to be able to maybe you could do 2 shows. You can play Druid City, and then you can also play Salty Nut. Because of the way Straight to Ale is situated, it's not really conducive to a music venue, but Salty Nut is perfect for a DIY. It's
the best.
And we've had some Huntsville bands like Drop Diver come down and like really rock it out. The Wanda band that's sort of in between here and Florence. And so there's no reason why we can't work together, even on that. I mean, in a little bit outside of the co-op, but still because of the co-op.
And I think that's the whole thing. And I think what's interesting is just how much the craft brewery scene has grown over the years. I mean, and y'all have been in it since the beginning and kind of been a part of it, probably even home brewing before you even opened Straight to Ale and opened Druid City. And so it's just crazy to see how like it was such a hard thing to kind of start and kind of like get it from the ground up was always tough. And now you just see so many more and more breweries kind of working together and kind of having this cooperative that's able to brew some incredible beers that wouldn't happen if it wasn't for those people coming together. And I think that's just the cool concept that you've done here. And so you've had this, you merge together, and you start working on this concept for Brewers Co-op. You start working with Avondale and good people out of Birmingham. When did that first conversation of coming to Stovehouse initially happen, and kind of what did that initial timeline look like from when you kind of announced, started breaking ground to actually officially opening, which I know took quite a while?
Yeah. Well, we were caught up in like everyone else, caught up in COVID, and that really stretched our timeline way out. It's hard for me to look back and remember how long it actually took, because there was so many problems trying to build during COVID.
Yeah.
I mean, we waited, I think, a year for our electrical box, right? I mean, it was just ridiculous. There's so many things we couldn't get. All our restaurant equipment was extended lead times. So we really got it open as quick as we could. But I want to say it took us, anybody here, about a year and a half, something to build out everything and get us open here. And we had conversations with Michael and Jason from Good People in Avondale. I wish they were here for this.
Yes.
They could really provide some good feedback on what we went through. But the idea, they immediately liked the idea. They wanted to be a part of a group. And this is just the initial 5 in the group. The group's going to expand.
Okay.
We just had to get it open. We put a lot of money in. We got everything started up here and in Gunnersville. And as we look to expand, we're going to look to add other breweries into the co-op as members and offer more of a variety, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's in its initial stages. We're still working out the membership details, and we've got a lot of cool stuff still to announce on these places.
Yeah, because I know you were juggling both this location and the Gunnersville location kind of at the same time. I mean, with labor and materials just being so tough, I couldn't imagine being like opening one restaurant and one concept to then being like, maybe we should open up another concept and let's do it at the exact same time.
Well, they weren't initially all at the same time, and actually, we're doing an expansion for Druid City at the same time also.
Oh, wow.
And we're adding a kitchen over at Salty Nut.
Wow.
So we had 4 projects going at the same time, and just getting contractors and, like I said, all the equipment problems sort of backed everything up, so they're all sort of opening together.
Yes.
The next one we hope to open up is Druid City. We got guys down there working today.
Wow.
Trying to put some drywall up and some other stuff. We've got some ACs going on the roof. All that's coming, and then we just lack a little bit of getting Salty Nut. I don't know if you remember the Anaheim Chili group. So Scott is over there. He's going to put Anaheim Chili over at Salty Nut.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
So there'll be a whole group of new things coming to Hustle, which is cool.
Well, I mean, it's also a testament to how strong Dan is. Like sometimes, owning a small business, no matter what it is, can be stressful. But also juggling all these, flaming tennis balls all at one time, it can be really stressful. And so I've been really proud, and I'm not just trying to fluff you here, Dan, about how strong he's been. I'm having to put out fires, and it's been an inspiration to me to, try to not let it stress me out. We're going to do this. It's a little hectic, it's a little scary.
Yeah.
But also I think it's for the greater good, and I think that's one thing that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah. How tough was it for you, Bo, though, since a lot of the projects that were happening, besides what's happening at Druid City, were happening up in the Huntsville area? I mean, traveling was were you just traveling back and forth all the time to kind of be a part of it, or did you kind of plan it out?
Well, I was trying to be a little more laissez-faire and run Druid City to give Dan less heartburn of me telling him silly jokes all the time. But it was still stressful, because we had announced that we were going to start working on Druid City, in 19, and then obviously COVID, and the amount of times that I've had to answer, well, when are these places going to open? And I've started telling them it's like barbecue. It's going to be done when it's done. It's going to be delicious.
Yeah.
Believe us.
You're going to love it.
Trust me, I'm a portly man. It's going to be great. And so it was a little stress, but it was also, just knowing that, Dan and everybody is working so hard to make this vision happen. It's made me proud to be a part of it, and then try to do whatever little part that I can do to be there.
So in April of 2022 was when you officially opened Brewers Co-op. Was the success right off the bat, and I think Thomas can kind of jump in with this, is this concept at Stovehouse is a full sit-down restaurant, and it's something that Stovehouse didn't have before. Was the success of the opening in April just super successful right off the bat, or did it take a little time to kind of get off the ground?
We were packed right off of the bat. Lunches were a big draw, especially a lot of businesses in the area, and also we have probably the best lunch back-of-house staff that you could find in the area. They are well-lubed machines. They know exactly how to get food out on the expo line and onto the floor.
Yeah, I mean, in the area around here, I mean, it's continuing to grow, and the amount of places that offer sit-down restaurants at lunch is far and few between. And so, bringing this to a concept to Stovehouse that didn't have it, where people thought of it as more of a grab and go, people are able to come here now and almost have a lunch meeting. Whereas, if it's really hot outside, you're not just going to sit outside and eat. You'll eat something outside and just sweat while you're meeting. Yeah. I'd rather sit in some air conditioning and have a beer and then have a meeting. And so I think that concept and just that vision is great for the area itself.
I think it was 113 with the heat index yesterday. So, you watch this place pack out like a sardine can.
Yeah, wow.
So, pretty much by 5:30 yesterday, this is just completely packed.
Wow. We got some great chefs, too, that are doing a great job coming up with menu items and stuff like that. And they're creative and keep adding specials and stuff like that. So I'm super excited about what y'all are doing here.
So this location, after being open a few months, you actually were able to open up the Gunnersville location as well. How was the response from the Gunnersville location, as it's a completely different experience within the same concept of what the co-op is meant to be, but the location and the experience you have at that is just a complete twist from what this location is at Stovehouse. How was that opening, and kind of what was the response in Gunnersville, as Gunnersville is just continuing to boom too?
Yeah. Well, Gunnersville is definitely a different monster, but Marshall County just embraced and is embracing the co-op down there. I mean, there's not that many choices to go out and eat and drink and have a good time down there. And that City Harbor development is just so great that people are just going nuts for that place down there. It's been terrific response. They're keeping up our staff's keeping up, but just barely down there. And it's summertime. Everybody's on the lake. You can pull your boat right up, get out with your group, come have lunch. It's a cool concept down there for sure.
I mean, it's crazy just to hear about the journey it took to open the co-op, as well as y'all's journey leading up to the co-op. Looking at this entrepreneurial journey that you both have had, how much of your success would you contribute to being in the right place at the right time, and how much would you contribute to your hard work?
Wow, that's a tough question. Obviously, the work, any small business owner, the work is just so much. You just have to dive into it. It has to become your life. And it's been my life for the last 15 years, right?
Wow.
But we were in the right place at the right time. We were in a brand new craft beer market, really. People didn't know that much about craft beer that was made in town, right? Old Town had just opened and they were struggling. And we wanted to introduce people to full flavored craft beer, and we hit it just at the right time as craft beer was exploding, and we get a lot of transplants here that knew about the beer, so it just went insane. It was supposed to be like a weekend project. We went in and worked on the weekends, and quickly we realized, well, this could be a full-time business. And I left my engineering position and I went and started this thing full time, and it's just continued to grow up till now. So.
Yeah.
I mean, for us, it was something that seeing the success that Dan had at Straight to L, and the guys are good people. I mean, it proved that really good beer didn't have to be a Pacific Northwest thing or a New England thing like that we could make. And even before that, people like Terrapin, showing that the South has the ability to make these amazing craft beers. I know for me and one of my partners, Elliot, we decided, we went from driveway to our present location, that we were worried that somebody would want to open up a brewery that just capitalized on the fact that it was a college town and not be engaged in our community. And I think that's something that is very important, right? A craft brewery is a great way to have a flag pointed of a product that your community can be proud of, your community engagement, however you do that only makes your community stronger. I mean, and I think that all dovetails back into, the co-op thing. Like, okay, we're doing these things to make our community stronger. Let's do something together that's going to make all of us stronger.
Yeah, and I think, the locations of the co-op being in Huntsville, in a growing city with a lot of people that travel to Huntsville for work, they get to experience a ton of what the state has to offer in one spot.
Yeah.
Which I think is it's the incredible thing, because I think it opens up the eyes of hey, there's more here than what meets the eye. I think the whole cliche thing of the podcast, there's much more beyond the rocket that's here. You have to and you're making it a lot easier now to find these places. Before you kind of had to dig and dive and try to find these. Now it's you come to where should I go eat today? Stovehouse. Well, what's Brewers Co-op? Okay, well, there's this, and this. Well, there's 5 breweries from the state. That's just crazy. And so that I think the timing is very important. But I think without both y'all's hard work at the right time, I don't think this would be as successful as it is. I think what's the entrepreneurial journey is a crazy thing, and I think what's interesting to me is most people would be complacent and be okay with the idea of opening up one brewery.
Yeah.
The idea that hey, I have this one successful brewery, it's done really well, I've done well, let's not do anymore. Let's just make this the best it can be. But both of you have decided that one's not enough, and so you're just continuing to open and be a part of more and more things. Is that entrepreneurial mindset something you've always had, or is that something you think you've had to develop over the years?
I think I've always had it. I always did projects and tried to start businesses growing up and that kind of thing. So it's always something I enjoyed and wanted to do. And once you get started, and if you invest a lot, we've got some really large equipment over there, part of it is just, those things need to be full. Every tank needs to be full all the time. Mm-hmm. And so I have to find outlets for our beers. So that's another thing in this thing is you have more outlets for your beers, then you can keep your tanks full. And if your tanks are full, you're making a profit. So.
And I come from a background of playing in bands and being running a podcast and being, sort of community minded. And so, I always wanted to do something, and I always worked really hard. I would be tipping bar by day and running a kitchen by night and just juggling all these things. But then I found that I could quit doing 3 jobs and just do 1 job for the amount of hours of 3 jobs. Open at a business with much more worry.
Yes.
But, I've gotten much more zen about it. And, like I said, I think the partnership and the beautiful co-ops, help me deal with that and to be a part of the team. Go team!
Hey, you say team, but team is one of the biggest reasons we're doing this, because without the teams that we have in place in these different locations, there's no way we could do this. I put a lot of hours in. My team members put in a lot of hours working directly with all the customers, all the employees. So without the good teams that we have here in Guntersville and down at Druid, there's no way we could do this individually.
Thinking about all the advice and the mentorship you've gotten over the years, what is one piece of advice that you'd give to someone who's listening right now that wants to start their own business?
Don't start a brewery.
No, I'm trying to decide if I need to make a joke or not, and so I'll just be. Yeah, well, no,
okay.
Mine would have been worse. To really know that, once again, I talked about it earlier, but doing good in the world and it being good business are not mutually exclusive. You can do both of those things, and you can affect positive change in the world, even if it's small changes, and bringing people together that have a vision of creativity, whether it's the kitchen back there with the menu that's constantly involved, whether it's the beer that Dan and his staff are making, we're making at Druid City, or good people Avondale, or when we have guest members of the co-op, having that, and I know it's going to sound cheesy AF, synergy, to like be able to feed off each other and to learn from each other, that's a lifelong thing. And so I think that would be like, don't be afraid to do good in the world, but also you can do good business.
Yeah, and I think the comment you made about like being willing to learn forever, like you don't know what you don't know, and so you got to continue to learn and continue to develop because things are changing, and like someone that comes in as a guest to brew something might do it this way that you've never seen before.
Oh, well, there's so many ways to skin a cat when it comes to brewing. I've learned like there's so many different. You're achieving the same end goal of how you extract the sugars from the grains and all that, but then it's like, I never thought about that. That's such an easier thing, and that's why my favorite part of Old Beer Fest was being able to stand behind the tents with the other guys and talk shop. And so this just takes that to the next level because we're actually together and all a part of something, as opposed to drinking too much beer behind a tent at a festival. So,
and it brings the community together, like you said, because I mean, the amount of times that I travel to a city or anywhere out of Huntsville, out of Alabama, the first thing that I look at is what breweries are nearby, and then I go from the breweries to what restaurants are nearby, and then from the it's just a continuing effect, and I think it's continuing. I think with what what the Brewers Co-op is doing in Huntsville and what it's doing in Guntersville is making people more aware of craft beer. And when they're more aware of craft beer, they're able to support these local communities when they travel, as well as their own local community wherever they're from. And I think that's just the incredible thing. For those that are listening right now and they want to connect with the co-op, they want to support you in what you do, and they want to visit, where can they find you on social media? Where can they find you online? And how can they stop by?
brewerscooperative.com. You can hit us up on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, stay tuned for stories. We have an excellent marketing team. Check out some of the food that we got on special. Swear to God, this fried green tomato BLT is the greatest sandwich I have ever had in my life. Paired that with a Mediterranean pasta salad and a in-house co-op velvet stout tiramisu with a mascarpone frosting. It's to die for.
Perfect.
Cheese and rice.
Yeah. And you have to remember, like, you're going to find staple beers from our 5 breweries when you walk through these doors, but you're also going to find beers that you're not going to be able to find anywhere else.
Yeah, and I think that's the most exciting thing is like each co-op gives you a taste of the breweries that are located within there, as well as a variety of beers that are just specific to that co-op itself, as well as, like you said, stuff you can't get anywhere else, which I think is incredible.
Well, I mean, we all are our own beautiful unicorns of what we bring to the table as far as styles and everything. I mean, and for Druid City, you can just Google Druid City. It's cool. But no, we're at Druid City on Twitter. Our Instagram is at Druid City Brewing Co. We try to get really fun and spunky on there and make it not just like, here's a beer. There'll be a picture of me doing something completely absurd, which, it's for the people. But yeah, you can reach out to us also. We're very receptive in any of the messaging ways you could find us, whether that's direct messages through Instagram, Facebook, any of that biz. You can email me at bo@druidcitybrewing.com. I'll send you an affirmation and a funny joke.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me today. It's been great learning more about the co-op as well as y'all's journey individually prior to the co-op. And I continue to look forward to the success that the Brewers Co-op will have in Huntsville and Guntersville for years to come.
Yeah, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming out and talking with us and trying to get the word out because a lot of people don't know we're here yet. So we want to make sure everybody knows we got beer, food, we've got wine, we've got spirits, we've got everything you could want right here.
Yeah, so stop on by at the Stovehouse location in Huntsville or at their location in Guntersville as well.
All right. Cool beans. Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers.